For instance, the cow, it goes its entire life eating the minimum possible variety of food. Only grass, just one food. There's a really good analogy I saw once. It was about killer whales and walnuts. You see, even though walnuts have a lot of nutrients in them, why would the killer whale have any reason to eat them? Shouldn't the killer whale have access to all the nutrients it has in its local environment? So, therefore, the killer whale does not have the machinery to access the nutrients in the walnut, even though there are a lot of nutrients in the walnut. This, of course, is not isolated to cows and killer whales. There are also things that humans can't eat. Like, for instance, wood, bones, dirt. No one would disagree that these things are not meant for humans to eat, even though they do have tons of nutrients in them. But there are other things that we eat a lot of times, which humans are not adapted to eat because they are not able to be found in the natural environment, edible to humans. Such as rice, alcohol, flour, cheese, beans, grains, stuff like that. Humans cannot eat them in their raw state, just like the killer whale with the walnuts. Humans can't eat these in their raw state, so we know. So just like the killer whale and the walnuts, humans, these are not foods for humans. And this ties into my next point. What is toxemia? It is the state the body is in when it is filled to the brim with waste products and toxic material which have been built up over time, such that the body's primary eliminative passageways, the bowels, are overburdened, so the body has to resort to other methods such as coughing or a runny nose or something along those lines. So, for this next point, there's something really important you all have to understand. The human body was designed perfectly, and its response to everything is the perfect response to its internal environment. Every calorie the body spends is put towards keeping you. Every calorie spent is spent in the best way possible. So, all disease, all sickness, and health imperfections are of any kind are a result of toxemia. All disease that's what disease is. Disease is the body's perfect response to its internal circumstances, and when there is a buildup of waste, the body is in a state of toxemia, and that is what we get as sickness. This can take the form of strep throat, flu, pneumonia, acne, runny nose, a cough. All of those things have the exact same cause, and it is toxemia. Now, this leads to the very obvious question. Jonathan, you just poo-pooed on all my favorite foods. So, what things can humans eat? Well, based on one of the things I explained before, it has to be easily digestible in its natural state. It has to be it has to be non-mucus forming, aka the body can use it and convert it into tissue because there's no waste there. And you have to be able to eat your filling of it. Now, what does this mean? It means you can eat only that food for a meal and be satiated. For instance, you can eat only oranges in a meal and be full. You can eat only apples in a meal and be full. You cannot do this with cinnamon, olive oil, or ketchup. And that tells you that these things are not meant for humans to eat, because you cannot eat only ketchup, only cinnamon, only olive oil in a meal. So the very few foods fit this definition. Here, the ideal diet for man consists of 100% fresh fruit. Other things you can eat if you want, but you're not missing out if you don't, are leafy green vegetables. Not all vegetables, but leafy green vegetables, dried fruit, and raw, unsalted nuts. Paul Bragg and Joel Fuhrman, both who know a lot about eating and living healthy lives, they say that cooked vegetables are also entirely mucus-free, like non-toxic, but I'm not sure I entirely agree with that. So, of course, how, since toxemia, we all know, is the cause of all disease and all health imperfections of any kind, how does one get out of a state of toxemia? Well, the first and most important is to fast. You see, the body has a limited amount of vital force at any moment, and the two most expensive processes for vital force by far are digestion and elimination of waste products. So, if you eat too much clean food, or you eat things that do not fit the definition of food, which I've laid out, then these waste products will, if you eat too much clean food, or you eat food that was not meant for humans, then all the attention of your vital force will be put towards digesting it, not towards eliminating those things that you ate that weren't meant for you. So the body resorts to other methods of elimination. For instance, emergency elimination mode, which is any short-lasting sickness, like the seasonal flu. That is all a result of too much vital force being put towards digestion and not enough being left over for elimination. But when given this physiological rest through fasting, because you aren't eating, your body has the opportunity to break down the waste that was deposited in your tissue. Because of course, the body would get rid of it if it could. But as I said, it could be overburdened, so it's deposited in there. And now I'm gonna give a little anecdote. Me, about a year ago, I went from eating a conventional diet to about 75% salads and nuts. And almost instantly, I lost 15 pounds. It just flew off me. And it's not like I was fat or I lost muscle or anything. It just flew off. So that shows how badly my body wanted to get rid of that dead weight. It flew off. And then about maybe 2 months ago, when I went from eating what I just said to about 50% fruit and, 50% fruit, so a lot more fruit, I lost another 10 pounds almost instantly. That was 25 pounds of waste that just flew off me. And I wasn't even trying. It just happened. There are other things you should do if you want to be in perfect health. Get a lot of fresh air, get a lot of sunlight, get a lot of distilled water. These alone do not heal you. They are agents of Mother Nature, who she heals you, and these are her agents. What happens in a body that is totally free of these waste products that have been built up over decades and a lifetime? Well, we can look at Professor Arnold, Ehret, the founder of the Mucusless diet healing system. He, after doing this sort of thing, he talked about how he not only got rid of his chronic runny nose and lifelong sickness, he also developed extreme strength and endurance, and he despite tons of physical activity, he almost was never brought to a sweat and never developed a bad odor, ever. And one time he said he accidentally cut himself. It didn't even bleed. And the next day, there was almost no sign that the cut was there at all. Just goes to show the super healing powers that our body has when totally unobstructed. And life extension specialist Paul Bragg, he was 75 when this is a picture of what you're going to be like if your body's totally unobstructed. Life extension specialist Paul Bragg said, "I have unlimited energy for work and play. I never get tired. Sleepy, yes, but never do I get that worn out, exhausted feeling. He was 75 when he wrote this, when most people's lives are practically, over basically, when they aren't doing anything. This man had tons and tons of energy. He said that the second half of his life was the best one. But not only do you get extreme healing powers and ability to bounce back from any injuries you have, you also have a perfectly clean stream of blood flowing your brain. So you will have the best ideas, the most creativity you've ever had, and the most energy and excitement of your life when an unobstructed flow of blood is going into your brain. So what do I suggest you do? Well, here I have a protocol, and I made it really neat like this so you guys can take a picture if you want. Here, what I suggest you do is start with a 24 to 48 hour fast. This, as I said, it gives your body the physiological rest to break down whatever products are, whatever waste is in there. And think about it. If this stuff's been sitting in your body for years and years, and it is eventually given the opportunity to break down, it is flushed back into your bloodstream and into your circulatory system. So the worse you feel on a fast, the more toxins are being broken down for elimination. So, when you are fasting, you actually feel the state that your body is in every single day. That is what you feel during a fast. After this first fast, I suggest doing the Super Immunity book for simplicity's sake. It's an awesome, awesome resource written by Joel Fuhrman. I mentioned him at one point. And yes, it includes things like beans and rice and lots of salads. It does include things like beans and rice, which I explained are not necessarily meant for humans, but there is a purpose to them. If you go straight to Professor Arnold Ehret's work, then elimination might occur so quickly that you'll feel terrible and just go back to what you were eating before. You see, the eating, like I said, with a vital force, the eating prevents elimination. So if you're feeling really bad after not eating for a certain amount of time, then a solution, big air quotes there, is to eat, because it will prevent your body from breaking those toxins down and prevent you from feeling the true state that your body is in. And of course, hypothetically, if we have an obese person who's taken a lot of drugs over the course of their life, a fast longer than maybe 5 days would probably kill them, because all those drugs and the waste that's been building up over decades and decades of abuse are flushed into their body all at once, because the body wants to get rid of them so badly that it could kill them. So if you're obese and have been taking drugs over the course of your life, I really don't suggest a fast longer than 5 days. Though as you get cleaner and cleaner, and as you get more and more experience with fasting, that is absolutely achievable for everyone. 5-day fast is achievable for everyone. And to maintain regular cleaning, I suggest a 24 to 36 hour water fast every week. I realized I didn't explain what a fast was. It's when you eat nothing and you drink only water, pure water, if you have access to it, but I suppose tap water is okay. But ideally, pure distilled water is best. And like I said, I hesitate to suggest Arnold Ehret's work and the work of the Freemelon Society YouTube channel right away, because you might think they're taking stuff out of thin air, but first experience the value of good food with super immunity and the miracle of fasting. The top and bottom are equally important. It's just that the ones on the top have a more clear protocol to follow. My purpose in giving a speech is to give you power in your life. You do not need to be a victim of these diseases, these illnesses, these health imperfections that have burdened you for however long. It is within your control. I'm happy to reiterate anything I said, answer anyone's questions, or provide additional resources for you to look into.